Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We shall chant verses 11 to 20. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindrayairapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangham tyaktvatma shuddhaye yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayuktah kamakarena phale sakto nibadhyate sarvakarmani manasa sannyasyasते sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srujati prabhu na karma phala sanyogam svabhavastu vavartate nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu ajñānenāvratam jnānam tena muhyanti jantavaha jnānena tu tadajñānam yesham nāshitamatmanaha teshamāditya prakāshayati tatparam tadbuddhayastadaatmanam tannishthāstatparāyanāha gacchantya punaravrittim jnana nirdhūta kalmashaha vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shvapake cha pandita samadarshinaha ihaiva tairjita sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha na prahishyet priyam prapya no dvijet prapya chapriyam sthira buddhira sammudhaha brahmavid brahmani sthitaha. The last we did was the 11th verse, isn't it? The yogis, having abandoned attachment, perform action merely by the senses, the body and the mind, only for self-purification. Atma Shuddhaye, every thought, every perception, every emotion, every action is only done with the objective of purifying oneself. Atma Shuddhaye, self-purification. Now, for those who participated in that group discussion would have an idea as to what is this concept of self-purification. We said self-purification is a relative goal which forms a stepping stone, and you keep raising the bar as and when you reach the goal. You keep raising the bar of relative goal until you come to a point at some stage in your spiritual career, you'll be able to visualize the goal of self-realization. You visualize the concept of liberation. And then you'll be able to direct your actions towards it. So it is very important that you have a very clear direction to your actions. Your actions need to be given a direction. And what gives a direction to your action is the goal or the ideal. A life without a goal or an ideal is literally like a feather in a summer breeze. It doesn't know where it's going to go. Wherever the breeze takes, the wind takes, it just keeps floating. So a life without a goal is literally to be driven on your own unending personal desires, which is to operate on your own mind and keep running behind the mind, trying to satisfy whatever your mind keeps demanding. And your mind will relentlessly keep demanding. Remember, your mind will never get tired. I do not know whether you will get tired giving into the mind. Do you get tired giving into whatever the mind keeps demanding? Yes or no? Huh? You get tired at times, or I don't seem to get an answer. Whether thumbs up this way or this way. This way means you never get tired, huh? Sir, watch out, Sidramanji, you may not get lunch today. You are differing with your wife. She is saying this way, you're saying this way. Now you must understand, in fact, this is something I'm sorry to say this is the kindergarten stuff of spirituality. You can't even start, you can't even embark, you can't even begin your spiritual journey without having a clear goal or an objective in mind. And when I say this, I'm very certain when I say this, that many spiritual seekers don't have a clear goal. Even spiritual seekers don't have a clear goal. Most people don't have a goal at all. All their life, majority of humanity is just trying to give in to their mind. They surrender to their manas. They surrender to their incessant demands and desires and cravings and obsession, and they just keep chasing the mind all through their lives. If you want to actually embark on a spiritual journey, you got to envision a goal, and self-purification is to be understood as a relative goal. And only when you have a clear goal, that's when you have your actions directed towards it. In fact, one of the most important things you must understand is, okay, let me ask you, I'm sure every one of us experienced this in relative sense, that even though we know what is the right thing to do, why do our actions lack consistency? All of us know what is the right thing to do. It's not the lack of information, it's not lack of understanding, but yet what we lack is that consistency to pursue whatever you wish to pursue. So why is it that our actions lack consistency? Let me start engaging with Venkateshwar Garu.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, sir. Hari Om. Namaskaram. Any idea, sir? Why do you experience this?
May not. But if we surrender to our mind, definitely we will be tired. So there is no possibility at all.
Yes, surrendering to the mind is an unending process. It just keeps going on. But what I'm asking now is, why? Firstly, I said that you should not give in to the mind. Opposed to the mind is to envision a goal or a purpose, right? And then when you want to pursue the goal, a very familiar, very common complaint many people have is that their actions are very inconsistent. The question is, why are actions inconsistent?
Because it is very difficult to control the mind. So mind always demanding.
Okay, you would go back to the mind and say it's because the mind is demanding your actions are inconsistent?
Yes, yes.
All right. Not that you're wrong. You're right. You're right. Your mind keeps drawing you away from the chosen path, is it?
Yes.
All right. Very true. Very, very true. Everybody has their challenges in their own way. Thank you, sir. Yes. Anybody else? Why? What makes your actions inconsistent? Or you can also answer, what is it that makes your actions consistent? It's either way. It's the same thing you're saying. Yes, Sedramanji.
Weak intellect is weak. If we have strong intellect, we will be consistent. Intellect will dominate over mind and see to that you pursue goals.
Right. Your intellect is weak. You can say that. Also, you must understand. Okay. Any other factor? Venkateshwar Guru said your mind is more powerful. You said it's a weak intellect. It's the same thing. Right. Anything else? Sorry.
No goal or ideal.
No goal or an ideal.
No discipline. No discipline.
In fact, consistency is another word for discipline, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
One lacks that ability to doing things, the right things that take me to my goal, isn't it?
Yes.
In fact, many a time people don't realize that what makes their action consistent is the goal. If you have a clear goal, and if your intellect is convinced to get to that goal, then you will only perform actions that take you to the goal. As simple as that. When you have a clear goal, and when your intellect is convinced that I need to get to that goal, then your intellect will only perform actions, makes the right choices, because the job of the intellect is to make choice. When you make the right choice, that which takes me to my goal. But when the goal is not clear, neither are you convinced that this is the purpose of life, then there is neither a clarity nor is there a conviction. Then you give in to the mind which draws you off your course. You just keep meandering. Your mind keeps going here and there. Like they say, an empty mind is like a devil's workshop. You don't have a purpose in life. You just find yourself entertained, enamored, consumed by anything and everything that's happening around you. You don't seem to have a focus. You don't seem to have a purpose. So another term for the intellect is goal. Another term for consistency is the intellect. Remember this. So where there is a goal, there is an intellect. Where there is intellect, there is consistency. So if your actions lack consistency, is because you don't have a goal, or you're not convinced with the goal, or your intellect is not strong enough to say no to those that which is going to take me away from the goal. Now, one of the okay, yeah, Sudhakarji, Chepan sir.
Can we have the short-term goals in order to achieve the main goal? Suppose if I want to become a national champion and it may be too much for me, and I can go for a short-term goal just like a state champion or a village champion or something like that, step by step. Is it possible if you to put certain types of goals in that nature?
Absolutely. In fact, that is how you should approach the goal, which is what we have said, and we are still maintaining, that it is not possible, as you said, to become a national champion or to represent your nation international level. It's not possible to get to that level directly. So you take baby steps, or you take necessary steps to participate in the locality or your local division, and you keep going up the ladder. You represent your state, you represent your division, and then so on and so forth, you rise your level. Exactly the same way, we said self-realization is a too high, too lofty a goal. I'll be very surprised if anybody amongst us says, I'm inspired by self-realization. Anybody amongst us says, I know what self-realization is. I want to get to that goal of realization. That is my only purpose in life. I will completely be flawed if you say that. And if you genuinely say that, my prostrations to you. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to even conceive self-realization. If you say, sir, yes, I'm convinced with realization, then you must be doing everything to get there. You can't come back and say, sir, I'm not doing things. That means you are blowing hot and cold. So you should therefore, the Shastras itself give self-purification as intermediate goals to take necessary steps to get there, and then elevate and keep raising the bar, ultimately to get to the state of conceiving self-realization. So it's very much exactly as you said, but in spiritual terms, it becomes a different terminology, but the concept is very much the same. It's very, very practical, most practical school of thought. Okay, sir? Right. Now, I remember there was when the discussion happened, there was a mention about the gunas. One of the concepts we mentioned that self-purification is you want to reach that state of sattva, isn't it? We said we should reach a state of sattva. Now, I want to give you a panoramic perspective, just in brief. I will not go into the detail. I will give it out so that you will be able to capture it and understand it. And perhaps we'll revisit it at some particular time if required be. Okay, Harishi, I would want you to help me with just capturing this step by step, please. So the first thing is consciousness is trans sattva. Consciousness is trans sattva. In fact, they say that goal of self-realization is described as transcending sattva, transcending the guna. Okay, so this is the ultimate goal, which is self-realization. So consciousness is trans sattva. That's the first point. All right, send that through, sir. The next, below trans sattva comes pure sattva. A step below pure sattva so point 2 is pure sattva. Point 3 is rajasic sattva. Point 4 is sattvic rajas. No, you don't have to write the word below, sir. You just say 1 and 2 and 3. So that would be sufficient. So first is consciousness is trans sattva. Second is pure sattva. The third is rajasic sattva. The fourth is sattvic rajas. Sattvic rajas is karma bhakti jnanam. Karma bhakti jnanam is known as sattvic rajas. Point 5 would be rajasic rajas. Rajasic rajas is a materialistic and a sensual person. And the 6th point is tamas. Now, please capture this and look at it as your entire spiritual journey can be actually captured this, So the lowest of men is point 6, where you are completely engulfed in tamas. And then there are people who are materialistic and sensual. They are running behind their own selfish desires. They are called rajasic rajas. Okay, and then comes a state above that is sattvic rajas. So sattvic rajas is where you embark on your spiritual journey. And as you embark on your journey, you come to a state where there is sattva, but it is tainted with rajas, rajasic sattva. But the fourth is sattvic rajas. Rajas is predominant, but there's a tinge of sattva. Padminima, are you following? Your expression doesn't say so.
It's a little bit confusing.
Did you write it down first of all?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote it down.
As long as you've captured it, that's the first
Yes.
step, biggest step. You have got it with you. Okay. Which part you're confused?
Tamasic means you don't know anything, you are just running after anything that your mind is directing you.
Okay. No.
Without-
Okay. Let me clarify that. I took into account that you all are familiar with the gunas. See, tamas is a state of mind, or tamas is a state where you are inactive. A nature of mind which is indolent, which is lethargic, which is predominantly inactive in nature. Sloth. An attitude of even anything. Laziness, yes. Anything you tell them, they don't act on it. They are postponing things. They just keep dismissing things. They keep it to the future. That's tamas. Rajas is a state where you are full of desires. A mind which is infested with desires, selfish mind, which produces a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of mental restlessness. So rajas is a state where you are active, but your actions, as I've just mentioned, your mind, you're chasing your mind's desires. And when you chase your mind's desires, you always find yourself very restless, insecure, agitated. You're stressed.
Yes, I think I fall in that category.
No, don't compartmentalize yourself yet. Okay. And then sattva is a state where a person lives an action of serving a cause beyond himself. He envisions a larger cause. So he is also active. But a sattvic person finds himself very contented, not mentally disturbed. His actions are very focused, but he's peaceful, yet active. All right. So sattva is acting for a higher cause. Rajas is acting for oneself. Tamas is no action.
Okay.
In short. Now, the purpose of spiritual growth or spiritual goal is to move from tamas to rajas, from rajas to sattva. This is the order of spiritual growth. So when a person is spiritually progressing or developing, the sattvic quotient in him is more. The sattva in me keeps increasing, which I know for certain. If I'm working on myself, I will know that my sattvic quotient is on the rise. And when sattva is on the rise, the rajas and tamas comes down, because every human has a composition of all these three gunas. All three are there in everyone. All right. So you need to work with these gunas. Now, keeping in mind with these gunas, I'm only trying to put a chart to tell you all what is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal of realization is said to be a state where you transcend the gunas. So they called it as trans sattva. Trans sattva is a state of attaining the pure state of realization. So before you can't reach that state from where we are. That's absolute. So let's go back to the very bottom from the lowest state. Lowest
Is that
tamas.
what is called nirguna?
Yes, nirgunaha. Yes, without gunas. Yes, you can say that. Without gunas, without attributes. Where you transcend, that is a state of Atman, which is a state of the pure consciousness. Right? Now, how do you get there? So slowly, as you keep moving out of tamas, you get into rajas. you get out of Rajas, you get into Sattvic Rajas. Sattvic Rajas is what? Now, in the terminology of Sattvic Rajas, what do you find? Let me ask someone else. Tinkima, when we say Sattvic Rajas, what do you mean?
So sattvic means there is the sattva guna is predominant, and but the rajas tinge is also there. The karma bhakti.
Ayoyo. Ma, simple question. What is the difference between normal tea and masala tea?
Extra things are added in the masala tea.
Masala chai is the same chai but little masala. You put some other extra stuff. Okay. Now I ask you, what is the difference between Rajasic Rajas and Sattvic Rajas?
So rajas is very materialistic, sensual.
Rajasic Rajas is normal tea. Sattvic Rajas is masala chai. Hey, I'm giving example and you're becoming very, you're not concentrating, ma. Rajasic Rajas is normal chai. Sattvic Rajas is Irani chai. Correct? Masala chai. What they have done, they would have put some other masala into it and given it some spice. Now I ask you, what is the difference between Rajasic Rajas and Sattvic Rajas? Now forget the chai, now come to the philosophy. Tinkima.
So the Rajasic Rajas, I mean, if you're talking about mentally, one is more, agitated, anxious. Where the Rajas action is more predominant. In Sattvic Rajas, the purity of thought, the peaceful nature, being calm, doing work for a higher cause, that is the hallmark of a person. But there is also a tinge of Rajas in it, because there is some, that's my understanding. I don't know.
No, correct. Exactly as you rightly said, in masala chai, there's a little additional flavor. So when a person leaves the material life and embarks on a spiritual life, what would happen? He has picked up a higher value. He realizes that life has a greater purpose. He needs to be more charitable. He needs to embrace the larger good of others. So he starts envisioning a larger cause, isn't it? So what happens? But the Rajas is still there, but he has added a little bit of sattva into him. So spiritual journey starts with karma, bhakti, jnanam. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. Karma, bhakti, jnanam is action, devotion, knowledge, is meant only for union with the higher. From morning to night, he is engaging his body, mind and intellect for self-purification. So, point number 4 is what we learned in the 11th verse. Atma Shuddhaye, self-purification. Are you all able to connect now? So if you don't understand, next to point 5, write normal chai. Next to point 4, write masala chai. Then at least something will strike. Otherwise, you will forget it. Example. And when you have done sufficient karma bhakti jnanam, after a long gap, actually there's a long gap between point 4 and point 3. In fact, your entire spiritual journey, remember, your entire spiritual journey is in point 4. Entire. Maybe 90% of your spiritual journey is spent in point 4 category. Where in the with your sattva, with the higher knowledge, you're trying to get rid of the rajas, which is a desire element, your selfishness, your attachments, all that goes. And once that happens, then you elevate yourself to a state where there is rajasic sattva. Now, when I say rajasic sattva, what is the element there? Keshavji, when I say rajasic sattva, How do you differentiate that from sattvic rajas?
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Rajasic Tattva means you are more towards Sattva. You are more, your actions are towards much more earlier than period. Now you are more towards Sattva Guna, more for purification. More effort for purification.
No. You're right to say in Rajasic Sattva, the accent is more on Sattva, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
But in Sattvic Rajas, the accent is on purification.
Yes.
In Sattvic Rajas, the accent is on purification. Having purified, you reach a state of Sattva, which is Rajasic Sattva, means there are still little traces of Rajas, but predominantly you are
The quotient more in Sattva.
correct. Very good. 90% is all Sattvic quotient, 10% Rajas. But in the fourth stage, in Sattvic Rajas, 90% Rajas, 10% Sattva. That's a difference. I hope I'm not confusing you all. I actually had to take this call. Am I to say this or not? Whether you all are ready for it or not. But I said, let me give it out. Let me spell it out. Let us capture it, and we will, if needed, we'll build on it at some stage. All right. So in Sattvic Rajas, 10% Sattva, 90% Rajas. In Rajasic Sattva, it is 10% Rajas, 90% Sattva. And that is the stage you go through what is known as dharana and dhyana, where you do meditation at that stage. Because predominantly Sattva, dharana is open-eyed meditation, dhyana is closed-eyed meditation. So you do that in that stage. 90% of spiritual establishment is there. And then you come to a state where you become pure Sattva, where it is 98, 99% Sattva. There is no Rajas at all. It's only, in fact, if at all there's any Rajas and Tamas, it is only 0.5%, 1%. Insignificant. And when it comes to that insignificant percentage of purity, that pure Sattva can't sustain. What happens? Mani sir, do you have gold with you, sir?
Yes, sir.
நிறைய இருக்கா சார்?
Not much.
அட்ரஸ் சொல்லுங்க, நான் வந்துடுறேன்.
Not much. Only
Not
my
much.
name is money. Not much.
No, whatever money is all that gold only, no, isn't it?
No.
Right. Now, let's say example, when you buy any gold, whether be it in the form of a biscuit or a form of jewelry, is it pure gold?
No, it's not pure gold.
What is there in it, sir, then?
They mix copper in that.
They mix copper in it. Why do they
Some
mix
percentage.
copper, sir? They mix another element other than gold into it, isn't it?
Yes.
Why
Yes,
do they
good.
do that?
To get the flexibility of the metal. Otherwise, you can't get the ornament
You can't get the ornament. There is no, you can't
without
get-
mixing.
without mixing, isn't it? So,
Yes.
so that it can't hold if it is pure by itself, isn't it?
Exactly.
Similarly, the purest form of sattva, it cannot sustain. Why? Why can't pure sattva sustain? Now, I'm not trying to challenge you, sir. I'm just trying to
I know.
engage you.
Pure sattva, yes. Cannot
You
sustain.
can't. One who reaches that state of pure sattva quickly is transported to the trans sattva. He can't hold on to that state even for a short while. He just transported, it goes beyond it.
Yes.
Why? No worries. Anybody else wants to clarify?
The mind always pulls you down.
Sir, in the state of pure sattva, we have said your mind is almost at the verge of disintegration, sir.
Oh.
Isn't it? There's no mind at all. Almost there is no mind. There's no other impurity. There's no impurity at all. Yeah, Harishji, you are wanting to share something? Harishji?
Yeah, because by definition, when you drop off the tamasic and the rajasic gunas, almost zero, as you said, you almost discarded the mind and the intellect and the body. And therefore, what is it that will keep this pure sattva? Therefore, it disintegrates and moves quickly into a stage where it merges with the ultimate. So because it cannot sustain, because there is no body left. By body, I don't mean the body, I mean there is no substance left. There is no mind or anything to anchor on.
There is no mala, there is no dirt, there is no rajas and tamas. Isn't it? Since there is no rajas and tamas, the pure sattva can't hold on to itself. It almost disintegrates. It becomes, there's no solidarity. And therefore you just transport it to pure sattva. Outstanding. I don't know whether you're able to conceive what it is. But to look at spiritual purification, to look at spiritual development with the through the window of gunas. I'm only using the angle of gunas to describe what spiritual journey is. Right from the beginning till the very end. How do you graduate? How do you evolve? From tamas, you come to rajas. It is rajasic rajas. Then it is sattvic rajas, rajasic sattva, pure sattva, trans sattva. This is how one gradually evolves and moves up the ladder. Yeah. The state of pure consciousness or trans sattva is said to be samadhi, a state of total realization. Okay. Food for thought, plenty of food for thought. Okay. Right. Let's move on. We will take verse 12. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena phale satto nibadhyate. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena phale satto nibadhyate. In fact, this is the concluding verse of the second topic. How do the jnani, sannyasi and a yogi, how do they relate to action? All right, so here he's talking about a yuktaha, a united one, having abandoned the fruit of action. He's still talking about the yogis, perhaps, attains eternal peace because they have abandoned the fruit of action. He calls them the yuktaha. Yuktaha is the one united. And the ayuktaha, the opposite, the non-united, impelled by desire and attachment to the fruit, is bound. Ayukta kamakarena phale sakto nibadhyate. Kamakarena. Karena impelled by kama, desire, full of desires, full of sakta, full of attachments. These people, he says, are bound. As I've said in the text of Atma Bodha, when we did that initial first invocation in the first verse, there's a mention of it, isn't it? Bondage. So spiritual journey is another way of expressing spiritual journey is at any stage you must feel that sense of suffocation. If that sense of suffocation isn't felt, you wouldn't want to be liberated. Imagine I am just being tied to this chair now. Literally, I take a rope, or you take a rope and tie me up. Wouldn't I feel constricted? Wouldn't I feel limited? Wouldn't I feel bound? It's very obvious. What are you saying, sir? Yes, you'll obviously feel bound. Would I not want to be freed from it? Yes, you, anyone would want to be freed from it. Spirituality is exactly experiencing that sense of suffocation. You feel suffocated. You feel uncomfortable where you are. And you can be most comfortable in life. Very well placed. Everything is going so well with you, but yet you feel that inner feeling of being bound. It's a deep inner feeling that you want to experience that sense of liberation. That bondage and liberation, what is it that you need to experience this bondage and liberation? Again, I'm going back to the Atma Bodha also, or even independently you can say, what is it in you that experiences or feels the sense of bondage or liberation? It is in percentage. What is in you that experiences the sense of bondage and wanting to be liberated? What is it? Shivakumar Garu, can I ask you, sir? Are you in a position to give your thoughts? Chepan sir, any idea what is it in you that feels the bondage and also the same feeling for liberation?
Just now what I'm following, sir.
No problem, sir. Glad you're able to be on the journey.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you.
But anytime you feel something doesn't resonate well, something you don't follow, feel free to okay?
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, sure. Anybody? Rajima?
Guruji, could it be the conscience? Our conscience trying to guide us towards that, and we're not able to follow it because of our mind going outward towards the world, being dragged towards the outer world, outward. There is a feeling of suffocation. Could that be a...
It can, but it is, I have to stretch to accommodate, I have to stretch to convey the, it's roundabout way, I would say. It does convey, conscience does point towards the truth, that's what we say, you know. But conscience doesn't really, see, if I come to your house and I steal something, my conscience will prick me. You may say, Guruji, it's your house. What are you stealing? You might say. Yeah.
It is.
It is. I know that. But let's say I pick up something. I go into a store and flick something. Something in me says, hey, no, I don't think we should do that. So conscience pricks there as well. But you say conscience is going to tell me when I'm bound? Not that you're wrong, Ma. I'm just making you all think. Can you get more closer? If you go back to the discussion in Atma Bodha, I think we had some question also that was left to be discussed. Is Hariji there? Where is he? I thought I saw him. He sent in a
Guruji, he is having problem with his internet, so he's probably watching it on Facebook. He just messaged me, Guruji.
Oh, wonderful. Glad he has got another avenue to follow it. But Hariji, missing you, sir. Right. Now, anybody? Ushama, what is it that makes you feel suffocated and wanting to get liberated? It's the same thing.
Is it, Namaste Guruji, is it your vasanas which are binding you to your sense of responsibility, or your attachment to the world, or your commitment to the world, which you feel, is it the ones which are binding you?
In fact, you're right. What binds is as the verse says, desire and attachment to the fruit is that it's binding.
Yeah.
That's very, as you rightly said, it is clearly spelled out.
And your attempt to get out of it and try to, carry on in your journey of self-purification. Is it a conflict between that and this, which is not?
But it is not. But when you want to get liberated, it is not at the cost of something, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're trying to embrace something higher. That doesn't mean you abandon your duties and responsibilities. Not at the cost of. When he says bound in a negative context, that doesn't mean you shouldn't perform your duties and responsibilities. No, it doesn't mean that. It's not at the cost of anything. But I don't want to. I don't want you all to dilute the concept of bondage and liberation. As I've said, you can be very well placed in your life, and yet you can feel a sense of suffocation. You know, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, we have often used that example. When you push a person's head under the sheet of water, when you push him there under the sheet of water, and you hold him there for a minute, and then you ask him, what do you want? What would he say, Ushama?
First, let me get out. At least let me breathe.
I just want that next breath.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Correct.
And you can ask him anything he wants, anything you want, he'll say.
At that moment, nothing.
He doesn't want anything. He's ready to give up anything just for that momentary breath, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's a good way of getting something from someone. Just get hold of him, push him under the sheet of water, hold him there. You'll get what you want. Whatever you want. Thanks to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The great Ramakrishna. Now, what is that experience of suffocation when you're deprived of that next moment breath? The same suffocation is felt when a spiritual seeker doesn't get what he wants. What a spiritual seeker wants is higher. He wants to get united with the higher. And when he doesn't get that opportunity, when do you feel a sense of what does annoy you? When do you get annoyed with something? In normal sense, I'm saying.
You're not able to get what you want.
Not able to get what you want. That means, isn't there an underlying desire?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Now come back to the question. What is it that creates a sense of suffocation or bondage? When you are not able to feed or give in to the desire for liberation. When you are not able to give in to that desire for your higher growth, you feel suffocated. So there is, remember, there is this desire for liberation known as, what is the term we have used? Ashama. Do you remember? In the Atma Bodha class we used the term. What is the term for the desire for liberation? याद नहीं है आप थे? Were you there in the Atma Buddha class? आप थे ना?
जी जी
हाँ, याद नहीं है, हमें भी याद नहीं, इसलिए पूछ रहे हैं. There are many reasons why I ask questions. What is that word for the desire for liberation? It is known as mumukshatva. Mumukshatva is a desire for liberation, and what is interesting is every human is born with it. Why is every human born with it?
because when he is born, he is a pure soul.
I don't think so. From day one, is impure. In fact, the fact that you're born is because you have vasana. You only become pure when you merge.
So,
Sorry, ma?
sorry.
No. Please, what is it you're saying? I didn't get you.
You may have been born because of vasana.
Yes.
But when you're born, you're still not interacted with the world. And is there any vasana there, any desire there?
Very much. Because as the child starts growing up, each child has a distinct nature, isn't it? A distinct trait, a distinct characteristic. Isn't that vasana? And as he starts blossoming and developing as a human being, he starts having individual characteristics.
Yes.
And he starts interacting with the world in his own unique way. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they have a distinct vasana, a distinct personality. So what am I saying? Why is every human is born with this desire for liberation? Why? Yes, Ramanji.
That is the very purpose of a human life. We take human because that's the very ultimate goal for every human being.
That is the purpose for which you are born as a human. And if you don't have the desire to get to what you want, the purpose is not served. Very true. Then what is the percentage of people who are holding on to this desire? Siddharamanji.
Negligible.
Negligible. Why is it negligible?
Because of the vasanas and desires.
Because of your other vasanas and desires. This is just one vasana in a maze of other vasanas or desires. What chance you have that this vasana will have the strength and the potency and the drive to draw you towards it? Mathematical calculations. What's the percentage? Insignificant percentage. So if someone is able to identify this desire for liberation, hold on to it and say, this is the purpose of my life. Outstanding. That is an outstanding person, outstanding pursuit. Extraordinary human being, such a person is. No ordinary person can achieve that, can even envision that purpose.
Purpose of life.
That purpose of life. Everybody is caught up in every other attachment. Such people, the text says, are known as ayuktaha. Yuktaha is one who is either trying to unite or who is united. Yuktaha means one who is either united or trying to unite. Ayuktaha, when you add the Sanskrit alphabet A before any word, it gives the opposite meaning. Ayuktaha means the non-united. Now, what is it in you to be that enables you to The question still stands. What is it in you that enables you to hold on, identify the, what was the question, Rajima? You answered?
What is that you experience the bondage? How do you experience the bondage or suffocation? Is that the one, Guruji? Or the desire for liberation? No.
Yeah, Tinkiba?
What in you experiences a sense of bondage and wants to be liberated?
What is it in you that experiences the sense of bondage? What is
So
it
can it
that conceives liberation? Even conceiving liberation.
Yeah. So the vasana for liberation becomes the predominant vasana. All other vasanas are either exhausted or, they're not meaningful anymore. Can that be it?
Yes, yes, yes. It is the desire for liberation takes a precedence over other.
Over.
But again, as I've said earlier in the class, what is it that envisions a goal?
The intellect.
It is the intellect. Now, what is it that conceives the goal of realization? See, Hari has come with a bang. He's come with a bang. Where are you, Hari? Hari ji, not seen. Maybe your internet is not. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I see you. Come on, sir. You're in full flow today. Let Hari ji be given microphone access. No சொல்றீங்க.
Subtle intellect.
Correct. This is the answer. How do you say subtle intellect, sir?
Because when it is connected with terrestrial thing, then it is our gross intellect. When you are talking about mumukshutva, to reach the ultimate or the self, that is beyond the known and the unknown.
Yeah.
And that is transcendental realm. Anything, and the gross intellect cannot, it cannot go to that level. In that, it can operate only in the terrestrial level.
Yeah. So when you say the desire for, when you say desire for liberation, it is the realm of?
It is in the
realm of your subtle intellect.
Transcendental.
Transcendental. Yeah. The desire for liberation, realm of subtle intellect, or you can also say subtle intellect or a sattvic intellect. Okay. A sattvic intellect knows what is the path of bondage vis-a-vis the path of liberation.
Yeah.
First is subtle intellect. The second is sattvic intellect. In the 18th chapter, 30th verse, please refer to it. In the 18th chapter of the Gita, the 30th verse, he says, Bandham moksham chaya vetti. The sattvic intellect exactly knows what is the path of bondage, what is the path of liberation. Bandham and moksham. So this may be very flowery words for some, but for a spiritual seeker, it is very, very meaningful. So you got to take note of that reference. Yes, Hariji.
Can you once again explain the difference, the minute difference between subtle intellect and sattvic intellect?
No.
Or is it the same?
No. You can't say it is the same. It has the same flavor. See, subtle intellect. See, I would say, in fact, you're not wrong. In fact, I would rather say...
No, that was a question. Since,
Yeah. No, in fact, you're not wrong to say they're one, because the intellect is only one.
Yeah.
You can't say that they are gross intellect, subtle intellect, sattvic intellect, tamasic intellect. It's not so many intellects. It's all intellect is defined based on the field of operation, isn't it? So when intellect conceives the transcendental, it is the subtle intellect. And it's only the sattvic intellect that can conceive the self. So it is not wrong. In fact, it's not wrong to say that sattvic intellect is as good as subtle intellect. But we will not use it as the same term. They convey the same thing, but you can't say, you can't replace the word subtle intellect with sattvic intellect. We would not. But in the context, you can say both are the same. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. So opposite of not having an intellect is when you operate on the mind, when your actions are impelled by desire and attachment. When you have no intellect, when you don't operate on that higher purpose, your actions are driven by desire and attachment to fruit. Now you got to ask yourself, am I a yuktaha or a ayuktaha? What am I? Are my actions driven for liberation, or are my actions driven with desire and attachment? 99% of our actions are full of desires, full of selfishness, full of anxiety. Swami Ramatirtha says, it is the anxiety for a selfish end. The anxiety for a selfish end is the partition which keeps me away from the self. What keeps me away from the self is my own selfish end. Therefore, he says, let my anxiety be to have no anxiety at all. It is the anxiety for a selfish end is the partition which keeps me away from the self. So therefore, let my anxiety be to have no anxiety at all for any desired objects. So can you be in a state of a mental state where you have no anxiety for any object or being? When are you in a state of no anxiety for any object or being? Is there any state where you experience that? Where there is no anxiety for any object or being? Harishji?
True happiness or bliss.
Which we don't know. We don't know what that is it? Do we know what that is? We do not know what that state of pure bliss is. But as Venkateshwar Garu has rightly said, in deep sleep, temporarily, in deep sleep, when we go to sleep, there is that state of no desires. We feel no pressure. But what happens even when we sleep with dreams? When we go through, why do you go through dreams? Dreams you experience because of unfulfilled desires. Your desires are not fulfilled. Your thoughts are all are subconscious. The undercurrent of desires are not met. So your unfulfilled desires, your passions and emotions, which you carry them when you go to bed, they show themselves as dreams. So your unfulfilled desires, your passions and emotions we carry when we go to bed show themselves as our dreams. But one who has brought about a total balance of mind, who's got his mind under control, as simple as that. One who has completely mastered his mind and got a control, who is not tossed by anger, pride, pity, jealousies, likes and dislikes. He does not wander away into the wild dreams created by his feeble mind. I don't know whether you're making sense of it. One who has conquered his mind, who doesn't fall a prey to his own likes and dislikes, who doesn't fall a prey to petty emotions, not tossed by anger. He does not wander into the wild dreams. Even when you go to sleep, you have sound sleep. A healthy mind, only a healthy mind sleeps. How many of you can throw your arms and say, sir, I've got a very healthy mind. I have sound sleep. I don't have dreams at all. And yet we tell our kids and our loved ones when we go to sleep, say, sweet dreams. Sweet dreams. What is sweet dreams? I say, no dreams. My wishing to people when they go to sleep, I say, no dreams. Not sweet dreams, no dreams. An agitated mind dreams. A healthy mind never dreams. So attachment and selfish desires bind you. Just a moment of pause so that you look within and find out, oh my God, what am I housing within? Full of desires, full of attachments. Now, I would leave you all with a question. Please think about it. We may have dealt with it earlier because here he talks of attachment. My question is, how do you know what you are attached to? You need to know your own mind, isn't it? So, how do I know what am I attached to? And to what degree I'm attached? You should know. You should have at least enough knowledge of the disease. You may not have solution to it, but at least you must know what you're diseased with, isn't it? Detachment is a solution. Detachment is a solution, is a journey. But at least I must know what am I attached to. So question is, how do I know what I am attached to? And then you can explain to what degree you're attached to also clarifies. Because he says desire and attachment to the fruit is a state of bondage. But that doesn't mean you should not possess. That doesn't mean you should not enjoy. Detachment is not that you should not own things or you should not own nothing. Detachment is a state where nothing should own you, isn't it? It's not that you shouldn't own things. You can own all the world you want, but nothing should own you. You're a master, not a slave. The sad reality is we are all attached to many things. So how do I know what am I attached to? Okay, so when we come back, we'll take up this question and we'll take it further. Okay.
Hari Om. For those of you who joined in late and would like to send Guru Dakshina to Guruji, the details will be on the screens shortly. Yes, there it is. And deep appreciation to those who have already expressed their love and gratitude to Guruji. Thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.